Welcome everybody to the Golf and Politics Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Ellsworth. Matt couldn't be here today. He's playing a member guest in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the Patriot Golf Club. We wish he was here because he loves LIV Golf and everything about it, but you're stuck with just me. But luckily we have an awesome guest today, Scott Furlong. Scott is the superintendent at Robert Trent Jones Golf Club, known as RTJ. He has been here since 1994 and has been a part of, I think, 6 or 7 pro tournaments, 4 President's Cups, the Solheim Cup last September, and starting tomorrow, LIV Golf Virginia here in Gainesville, Virginia on Lake Manassas. Scott, it's great to have you. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you. This is exciting.
Tell us a little bit about how you got started. I know you were at one point a teacher and a coach.
Right. That's right.
I think those are still parts of your job description.
I agree with that, and I think it helps me the most. So I grew up in a family of teachers, so I didn't know any better. Everyone was a teacher, so I felt like I should be a teacher, right? And I love basketball, other sports, and I love the aspect of the X's and O's and stuff like that. So went to school, became a elementary teacher and a football coach at Centerville High School. And did basketball coaching down at Norview, down in Norfolk, and fell in love with it. But I was working here at the time, and I had worked at another golf course down the road called Cedar Crest, is no longer Fairfax National afterwards, and just fell in love with it. The science behind it, just trying to grow grass. When grass gets hurt, how you fix it. Felt like a doctor at different times, right? I worked under Glenn Smickley, who was one of the greatest mentors you can ever have, and a great person too as well, and just got along with everyone, and we just hit it off, just great friends. And through other people that are actually in the industry, superintendents around the area, just kind of like, why don't you go back to school? Why don't you go back to school? And I went back to school, went to the University of Maryland, still kept my teaching job, and then transferred over completely, went full-time, got my degree from Maryland, and never looked back. The one thing I miss is teaching, so I decided to, in coaching, I decided to get into coaching my kids, which I did plenty of for, oh my God, probably almost two decades. So.
And you have 4 kids?
4 kids, that's right.
And I understand at least one of them is a spectacular golfer. Right?
One's a really good golfer. That's my third, and got the hole-in-one on number 12 is it number 12 or number 11 at Medalist at par 4. Yeah. So, yeah, he's a good golfer. So
if you weren't a superintendent of a major golf club, what would you be doing right now? Where do you think your career would have gone?
I'd be teaching and coaching. I always said, if I get fired from here or something doesn't work out right, and I fell out of love with it, which I haven't, and I don't think I will, I'll go right back to teaching, because I really do enjoy that. And it is the number one thing, because you are constantly teaching. You're teaching adults, and you're constantly coaching, but you're teaching and coaching adults, and that's what we're doing every day. I mean, not every day is a great day, Not every day do we, get wins. Sometimes it's a tie, sometimes it's a loss, but I think from, just being a teacher, growing up around a bunch of teachers, I still love it and I still do it. And I miss the coaching part of that now that my kids are older. So,
well, you're still a teacher, and in many ways you're the head coach of RTJ's agronomy team. And for any club, especially a club like this, their golf course is the biggest asset.
That's right.
Do you ever feel like you have a day off? Do you ever get to sleep? Yeah.
Well, the great thing about a northern, where we're at, transition zone, not to offend any other superintendents across the world, because their problems are their problems. But if you can grow grass in the DC market, you can grow grass anywhere. So it doesn't seem like you have any days off. We joke around like you get grossly underpaid during the summer and you get grossly overpaid during the winter, So the great thing about it is you do get to take some time off during the winter. There's still a lot of stuff. We got snow removal here. We're prepping for the following season. We're trying to recruit to get interns. So there's a lot of things that still go on all year long. But there definitely is a slow period, which is very nice. So we do get breaks, but during the summer it's go, 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 and don't worry. I mean, every day of the week we work. It is what it is. Life, what's that, work-life balance? It's kind of hard to do that as a superintendent in this region. Other regions can get away with it, down south where Bermuda grass wants to live, or up north where cool season grass wants to live. Here, cool season doesn't want to live, and then Bermuda, I'll be honest, Bermuda didn't want to live this winter, so we have some winter kill on our dry range tee, which is part of its Bermuda. So it's definitely, and that's what makes this region so much fun. It's if you want something different, just wait for the next day, because weather's going to change and you get something different. So
you mentioned that stress that comes with paying attention every day, that would require you to have some really a trusted team
Yeah.
of top lieutenants that, let's say you have to go to a kid's graduation party or a family vacation somewhere. How do you find, what are you looking for in an agronomy team and staff? You know, educate our listeners on, maybe if they're interested in getting involved, what you're looking for.
So now, 20 years ago, they were just a little bit younger than me. Now I'm double their age, right? So and I think I have a good balance, and I got a kind heart when I need to, and I got a good sense of humor to keep it going with all these guys. But it's tough because they're a different breed now. But you find every once in a while, and we have them here, where they want to succeed. They want to do great stuff. They want to be great. They don't want to be good. I know what good looks like, and that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for great. And they might not be great when they get here, but by the time they leave, they're great. We're doing that with our crew. We use the H-2B visas, and those guys over time, we've got just great guys that come back to us every year. Then we're looking for interns every year, recruiting to get interns, and it's tough because even big time clubs are having trouble getting interns. We don't have a big name like Oakmont or Augusta, but this year we have 6. I think it's because we treat them well. We show them respect. We teach them. I'm a teacher. We teach them what they need to do, and we tell them, listen, this might not be for you, but tell us on the last day, not the first day, because this pace is a different pace than if you go down the street to another golf course that has Bermuda, and they have a lot of rounds, but they don't have a big budget, and it's okay to look the way they look. We don't accept that. We fight that off, and it's been fun because you could see right away who's got it, who doesn't, and then the hope is that by the end, it's a passion. People say this is my passion. Well, they don't even know what their passion is until they do it, until they fail, until they get it right, until they, get criticized by members, or they get in an argument with an employee. All that stuff is, beat you down, but do you get back up? Do you do it again? And do you love doing it every day?
Well, and I think mentorship is so important. You mentioned Glenn Smickley. Glenn is excellent. I've had a chance to play golf with him at Cal Club, and am such a huge fan. But mentorship, as a young person, when I first started in politics, I was a Republican. Yes, I was a Republican. I worked for President Bush, who's a wonderful guy, Speaker Boehner. But when I first got an internship, I had a chance to either work for a big name Republican senator, and I would have been one of 15 interns, not really getting to do much, or going and working for a lesser known congressman from my home district. And the lesser known member offered me a lot more opportunity. And I got a chance to really be mentored by one of the best and sort of learn the ropes. And he took me under his wing, and I moved up a lot faster. And so what I would say to anybody looking to be an intern in the golf world, having Scott Furlong as a boss would be a master class in becoming a superintendent one day. I did want to talk to you a little bit about the H-2B workers. Are you concerned with a lot of the new immigration policies coming out, if it's going to hurt our ability, RTJ's ability, to attract guest workers?
So we've had trouble with every administration, so you can't say it's Democrat or Republican. I don't know if it's the bills, all the pork they put in it. I have no idea what it is, and it always seems like it gets tied up. Every day you think you're getting a win, and then you find out you're not, nothing's moved at all. And that's politics, right? It just, everyone gets frustrated. I actually said, I give up. This is what it is. But, we do it the legal way. I've done it the legal way for a long time. Since 2005, we have a bunch of Hispanic employees coming in here, and I'm like, what do we got going on? Are they legal? Are they not legal? We didn't want to discriminate, right? So I decided to get on the H-2B program. A lot of them went home, and they came back. And I have 3 different families that came back to work for us, and it's great. And they're like family. I've known them since before 2005. But to answer your question, what I've been told is this is how they want to supplement the workforce, is through H-2B visas. I pray that that's what's going to happen. But with politics, you never know, right? It is very challenging because there is a huge demand for these jobs right here that most people don't want to do it unless you're going to be a person like me. And there's a lot of people that say they want to be me and want to go through those, but they don't want to really put the sweat, the tears, the blisters, and all that stuff that you get on 100-degree days out here. So And you can't fill up your whole staff with those, and they're only seasonal workers, So these guys come in for, 9 to 10 months, 8 to 10 months, and they're wonderful. So the hope is that, I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I just hope that they are going to fix the problem. And this could supplement some, the government, with H-2B fees if they do it. And I pray they do, because there are different times. Bush has done it, Obama's done it. They give you only 66,000 visas a year, 33 in the winter, 33 in the summer, 1,000 for the whole country. And that's crab pickers, that's people who work ski resorts, all that stuff. The winter's a little bit easier to get than the summer. And then the cap gets met. And it gets met immediately for 33,000 for the whole country. So with that being said, they extend the cap. Bush used to extend the cap. Obama didn't extend the cap, and then Obama started extending the cap. So you have different presidents moved around that did this. Clinton, same thing with Clinton, same thing with Trump and Biden. We just went back and forth. We haven't, to tell you the truth, we didn't get them 1 year in 2018 because they did not give us more, visas. And that's a struggle. So I'm going off on a tangent. You could probably wipe half this off, but it is frustrating. But we're hopeful that going forward we're going to fix this problem.
I've worked on it for a long time, and what seems to be the holdup is that there's broad bipartisan agreement on a whole host of issues like H-2Bs, H-1B, high-tech visas. And what holds it up is that, Democrats may want some unpopular position that Republicans don't want, and Republicans may want an unpopular position that Democrats don't want. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, instead of at least just knocking out the things that everyone agrees on, it's held hostage and captive until they can do the things that they really want to get. And it's problematic. I know that you've worked with the agronomy program at Penn State University.
Yes.
And I hear they're really good. The football team is not my Ohio State Buckeyes.
Oh God.
It's kind of,
I don't think I knew that you're that.
Yeah, a little bit
really?
of Ohio State. I'm an Ohio State Buckeyes fan. So I don't want to compare.
I had no idea.
I don't want to compare your agronomy team.
A lot makes sense now, but go on.
A lot makes sense. But what is it like working with the universities on their program? And have you been able to find talent from there, or technology, or?
So we're going to go back real quick. I'm a season ticket holder for Penn State, okay?
A waste of money. Do you have your white shirt?
Well, I got the white shirt and white out. My son just graduated from there. He's now at Seminole as an assistant superintendent, but he just graduated there, and we'll go back into that. But the greatest game I've ever been to, by the way, and I know we don't beat, and I can't say we. I've been a Penn State fan since a kid, right? Mm-hmm. But I went to Maryland. But now that I pay tuition, I think I can say we, right?
Yeah, you can.
I can say we.
Yeah. Once you write a check, you're in.
You write a check, you're in. So I think it was 2016. Went to that whiteout. Brought my two kids. One's at West Virginia. I think Gavin might have caddied for you. You've met him before. Yeah. Double major in accounting and business finance. Great golfer. We talked about that. And Hayden, I take him there as young little guys, and it was an amazing game. They won, right? That was a block field goal for a touchdown, right? And I told them afterwards. I said, "Listen, boys, you can search a lifetime, and I don't think you're going to find a better game than that, a better atmosphere." And I still haven't found one. And I've gone to a million games. But anyway. Back to your question, okay? So you don't get to trump me now and say, "Oh, we beat you 100 times after that." But anyway.
Well, we're national champions. I don't have to.
The worst thing that ever happened to me was the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and you guys winning the national championship. It's just awful. I mean,
You're a Commanders fan, or?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Because this is going to upset me.
Finding talent from the world-class Penn State agronomy.
So I've always since Stan Zontek with the USGA, the late great Stan Zontek, Penn Stater, and he always said I was going to be an honorary Penn Stater. So I've always felt that they are the best program. They breed the best out there, and if you look at it, a lot of them are out there. The few years ago, Augusta was all Penn State, right? They owned that for a long time, right? Liberty National, Burning Tree. Just go to the different clubs. It's all Penn State, right? 2-year program, 4-year program. It didn't really matter. But so what I do is I go up and do mock interviews for their 2-year program, which is just fantastic for the guys to actually understand how to interview. I always say, this is your worst interview. This is supposed to be your worst interview. Everything's supposed to get better going forward because this is your first one you've ever done. They really do it well. They pack it all in their 2-year program. They pack it all in, and they put a lot of intense pressure on them. They don't basically sleep. It's like boot camp. They're, sun up to sundown, and even on weekends. So have I gotten many from them? A few, because when they have a class of 16, we're not Oakmont. We're not Marion, okay? We're not Cypress, we're not some of these clubs. So we try hard.
We're better.
I like to say that, and I believe that.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
why I'm still here after 25 years, because I've had plenty of crossroads, but I love this place. I believe in this place. But with that being said, so I have a Penn Stater right now, four-year Penn State. And so we sometimes get between 4-year and 2-year. The great thing about 2-year, you get a 6-month internship. A 2-year, 2-year, you get 6 months. And a 4-year, you usually have that typical 2.5, 3 months, because everyone gets off that traditional time in May. But it's coming back. Maryland they almost lost their program. I think they're still there. People don't want to get in this business. You got to try it before you get into it. That's the thing. So you can't just say, I want to be a superintendent. You actually have to work on a golf course. And Penn State will not allow you to join that program, or even they won't let you enroll if you don't have 3 to 5 years experience on a golf course.
So a lot of superintendents have a stressful job every year, but very few have hosted the best women golfers in the world and some of the best men golfers in the world in 9 months. What have the last 9 months been like for you from a preparation standpoint and a managerial standpoint? Because the Solheim Cup is a global event. This is a global event.
Yeah.
What's it taken from you to do that?
So I love this. I love these. I don't know if the membership does.
I do.
Yeah. Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
But I love it. It jacks me up, gets me excited. I'm all jacked about it. And doing it inside of a year, inside of 9 months, is unheard of. I don't think there's any other one that's done it. I mean, literally find it. I don't think you can. So I mean, I get the Pinehurst did, men and then women's back to back. That's different. It's all there, right? We've had to tear down, clean it all up, knowing that we might do this. We didn't know. All right, they kept talking to us, and then we do it, and then all that stuff that we did gets destroyed again, right? So that's hard. That's hard as a guy that wants perfection, right? And we got really rainy this spring, so just trying to tell them to be careful, because everything's exposed for all golfers. If it's dry, you don't really see any issues, right? But when it's wet, we know all your bad driving habits. We see where you go through, right? We see all the corners that you take and turn it into mud. And that's what's happening, here when it's wet. But it's been great. And the people I've worked with have been great here. So I'm excited. It's a different build slightly, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more. I've been told there is, I think it's 1,000, maybe maybe it's like 500 more points. That means stakes in the ground, or just whatever they put in the ground, than the Ryder Cup. So there's more signage, there's more branding here than even the Ryder Cup, which is the biggest event in the world.
Wow. So let our viewers and listeners know, when the LIV golfers arrive this week, what golf course are they seeing? This place tips out at 7,600 yards, beautiful on the lake. Mm-hmm. Fast greens. What are the conditions like? And then how involved are you and your team with the LIV team and the setup, picking pin placements, green speeds, rough height?
Yeah, so we don't pick pin positions. I always said, I've told them when we worked with the PGA Tour and the LPGA was totally different. They wanted 12 on the stimp because that's what Stacey Lewis wanted, and she explained why, and it was a great reason why. And I said, got it. I have no ego. This is your tournament. We want you to succeed. We want you to win. And that's the advantage of being a captain, right? So, we don't pick pin positions, but when the pace gets a little bit quicker, right, which we're struggling a little bit with, but we're doing great, by the way. There are speeds that you play when you're here all the time, which is usually fast, right? But we're getting some humidity in there, which slows things down. Yeah. And we're fighting humidity right now because the plant gets sticky. But with that being said, I've always said, if you guys need any help, we're here for you, because we set up, tournaments, Kerry Shore before Matt Freitag, before John Glorioso now. I mean, those three we set up. And where speeds were fast, we found fair pin positions. Because it's important for everyone to enjoy himself and not have the ball roll up, roll back. So we are working hand in hand with the rules officials, which has been fantastic, and the agronomists. And we do not have any, say on where to play things, but we do have a say on green speeds, which they've been very receptive to.
So obviously all of these players are world class, and they hit it far and they can putt. Yeah. What type of player would this setup at this golf course favor? A great iron player, short game? Is it got to be somebody that can hit it 330 yards? Tell us a little bit about the golf course.
Okay, so weren't you ranked in the DC metro area as one of the best golfers for
second best?
So I'm a slasher, okay? I'm a slasher, all right? But I love golf, right? I love golf. So I understand the question, right? So it might not sound like you would say it, but you know, the importance of Jones design greens, but now it's kind of morphed into the same routing, but there's so much Kyle Phillips here, so much Kyle Phillips, where he put bunkers in places that, you know, where you're going to drive to. Before, you just pump them right over and you're fine. So very strategic to be in the fairway. I think most golf anywhere, when you have high rough or penal rough or narrow fairways, you got to be in there. And then at that, you need to be in the right, you know, section of the green to be able to have a chance to birdie. What's the book, you know, tough birdie, easy par?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's what it is. And so if you put yourself
tough par, easy bogey.
Tough par, easy bogey.
Okay,
Oh, is that
yeah.
what it was? Tough par,
Yeah.
easy bogey. Okay. Yeah, because birdies are never easy.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
you, not me. But
not for me either.
yeah.
No.
So
I've aged since that list came out.
you know, we have just enough undulations, and you know, I think we are very friendly, driver friendly, because everything funnels in, right? We're not the Oakmonts that the grade is working against you constantly. You know, whether the green's downhill, the green's still downhill going away, not pitched back, or everything's, you know, dog leg right, but it's funneling to the left. They everything, the grade is working against you. Here it doesn't work. It's a fun golf course to play. It feels like a championship
fair.
golf course. It's a fair golf course,
Yeah.
exactly. So you hit the green, you hit it the right bay, you got a great chance of birdie, right? And you're gonna get par, you know. But you don't. These things are, and they're big enough, but there's enough undulation here that could put you in trouble.
What I found with really good players that I've brought here that were new to the place, what they found the hardest was the size of the greens, because for most good players, it's easier to get up and down out of a greenside bunker, or maybe just have a little lob wedge out of the rough, than it is to have an 80-footer to two putt.
Yeah.
And our greens are big, but they play small with the 3 different bays.
Yes.
And so if you hit it on the wrong bay, that's why I think a great iron player is favored here, because if you can put it on the right bay, you've got to look. But two putting out here can be really challenging.
Yes.
So I'm anxious to see how they do.
And you know, it's a shame that we got so much rain last week. We're trying to dry out. Some places are drying down, but we're not. You know, you played it right before. It was insane. It was
the
balls
rough is
bouncing anywhere. It's just crazy, and the greens are lightning fast. We had to fight to get it back because of all the rain we had last week.
So when it comes to maintenance budgets, and I always use Augusta National as an example, and a common debate is, has Augusta been a bad influence on the world of golf because members expect things to be green all the time? I tend to think a little brown is good.
Right.
Let it toast a little bit and let's have it firm and fast. But members want perfect bunkers. They want perfect fast greens. They want green grass. So is that a negative from an agronomy standpoint as far as the budget and maybe driving up the cost of golf? And the second question is, do you think that with all the tariffs that the cost of equipment and things that you need, chemicals that you might need going up, you know, might be a risk of getting too expensive?
So I don't think Augusta hurts anybody. The only thing I think it hurts expectations when it comes to when that tournament's aired. You know, we could be in the not middle of winter, but coming out of winter and nothing's green yet, and everyone expects it to be green because we're in a different region. And people, unfortunately, don't think with their head saying, well, wait a second, that's Georgia. That's, you know, this is 12 hours north. So you hear some of that, and I know everyone deals with that. We always talk about the Augusta effect when Augusta in the Masters, you know, when the Masters is on. It's not perfect. I've played it. I've been on it. My son worked on it. It's not perfect. There's no perfect golf course in the world. So we're all striving to be perfect, but it's impossible to be perfect. So I think it's a good thing because you always are striving to be like Augusta or be like someone, to answer your question on that. So I think it's awesome. I think as far as budgets, I mean, it is what it is. We have to have a big budget. We have a monster property. We have all these. We have a village that we take care of. You know, we have all this stuff here. We're not, you know, a small golf course. No offense to small golf courses, but there's some out there that are 100 acres. You know, we maintain almost 200. We're 190. We're double. You know, and that 100 acres could have, I don't know, let's call it 3 million. Let's say we have 3 million or whatever it is. We got 2 million. They got 2 million. It's not equal money, is it? Right? Even if it's a million, it's not equal money because you're maintaining double the space. So with that being said, you know, I love the Augusta effect. I really do. And then the tariffs.
Yeah, tariffs.
So the tariffs, I don't know what the effect's going to be on the tariffs. I know that COVID really did change our world. You know, just a regular, you know, cart that cost X is doubled. Spray carts have doubled. A lot of things have doubled. So, that's been very difficult and escalated everything. Parts, doubled, or you can't get it, and it's easy to hide behind. So you're trying to sniff out, if they're telling the truth, right? And you got John Deere, Toro playing against each other, all the time, and they can keep raising it, right? You got little Jacobson down here. If they ever get their act together, they might come in because they've always been a little bit cheaper. They can obviously come back in at the old prices. You never know, right? So tariff-wise, nothing's affected us yet, and they say it's going to. There's that threat again with COVID and, supply chain issues, but nothing has affected us yet.
So, as you know, I finished the top 100 courses in the U.S. in December at Augusta.
Yes.
And I have 17 to go on the world top 100 list. And I'm going to knock off a bunch of those next week. But I keep telling people when they say, where's your favorite place to play golf? I say RTJ.
That's great.
And every time I come back here, I'm reminded of it. And every guest I bring here, their eyes light up. And I can remember when I joined, I don't want to say how many years ago because I was just a kid, but it's been a while. And I remember when I joined, there was a phrase on the website that said the RTJ experience. Can you tell us in your view what the RTJ experience is and what is Scott Furlong's role in that?
You want my honest opinion on the experience?
Yeah.
I think it's the most overused word in golf. Okay. If I could be, and second of all, I want to be you. Jesus. I mean, you've played every golf course, top 100, and you get ready. How many? You're going to.
Someone's got to do it. I'm at 83 on the world.
That's a good way to say it. Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it.
And you're a good person to do it.
Yeah,
But
I don't have kids.
So the let's call it the experience, or just, and I've tried to figure out what the right word is besides experience, and you can't figure it out, right? It's just, there's no other word in a dictionary that fits experience. So, the thing is, my role in this, okay, and I tell everyone is and what I do as a superintendent is my job is to think like a golfer. What does a golfer want, right? What does a golfer like? What does a golfer want? What do they want in the setup, right? What do they want as playability, right? And we can't always fulfill every one of their needs, and we can't always be perfect because we got Mother Nature, and we have people that actually are putting things on Mother Nature, like raking bunkers different that might get a fried egg lie or whatever it is. But the experience here is, I've always felt that a big smile, and the guys that don't smile in the valet or don't smile at the pro shop desk, they hear about it. I'm busting chops all the time about that. They probably hate me. I don't care. We're in a service business. We're in the service business. In the service business, you're supposed to greet people with a smile. You're supposed to make them feel comfortable, not uncomfortable. There's plenty of clubs out there that do. They can do whatever they want. Yeah. Here, I think, and that's not my personality, is to try to make everyone feel comfortable. So the experience is that from the start to the finish, that they have a good feeling about the golf course. And then back to the golf course is to try to, like, we mow rough all in one day. There's some courses that just, hey, put the rough mower out there, mow all week. So you can be in high grass, low grass. We try to present the golf course the best we can every day. We straighten every rope line every day. We put every bunker rake back every day. Last man standing going through, which is usually me or an assistant or someone else, making sure everything, that first golfer is being presented the best golf course we can be. We might have some depth, we might have some thin areas, whatever, but we're going to be the best that we can be that day, not sloppy. And it's all in the details. There's a lot of great superintendents out there that do wonderful, and I can name a million of them, and they're good friends. And it's a whole detail game, making sure you have all the data. And that's what's hard about tournaments like this, because everyone's just, chewing up edges and messing up and driving everywhere, and you're like, oh, you got to look away. Now that we're here, I've kind of calmed down, but everything, we're trying to get to the cameras being on. And then once the cameras are on, you just got to sit back. It is what it is, so.
I'll add what I love most about RTJ. I live downtown in DC, and it can take me 45 minutes to get here, which isn't bad, especially with the express lanes.
Yes, yeah.
Sometimes it's worse going home. But what I love the most is it feels like I'm on vacation every time I pull through the gates.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on vacation, like I can take my tie off, relax, and from the time you get to valet, world-class locker room, the bar, the pro shop, practice facilities, and then you're already in a great mood before you play one of the best golf courses in the world.
Yeah.
And it feels like, for people that live in Manhattan, getting to go out to the Hamptons for the weekend. I love getting out here and being on this beautiful lake. You don't see houses everywhere. Mm-hmm. And you play this world-class golf course that's always in perfect condition. And so for me, Then when you're finished, you go in and get a steak, a cigar, a scotch, stay in a cottage, stay in the suites. You know, if you don't like that and you don't have a good time, there's something wrong with you. And for me, I look at, you know, with the staff, what I love the most about our staff is that they treat our guests every bit as good as they treat us. And there are some clubs you go to as a guest and they make you feel like you should be honored to be here.
Yeah.
And as soon as you're done, get the hell out
Get
of
the
here.
heck out of there. Yeah.
And at RTJ, you know, the bartenders, you know, they know a lot of my guests by name because they've been coming here for
Isn't that great? It's
13
special, right?
years. And Robin will come up and give them a hug.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in there, you come up and shake everybody's hand. If you're on the golf course, you pull up and say hi. They feel welcome.
Yes.
And they feel relaxed. And that to me is what makes this place next level. Of course, we have a great golf course, but it's just next level because of the people.
And you haven't taken it for granted. By the way, Mr. Lund just yelled crabgrass as he went by, just trying to make me laugh. And I did laugh. He always says I have crabgrass here. But anyway, in his Danish, oh, yeah, you got crabgrass. Anyway, so
I love his accent.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's great,
it's
isn't
great.
it? So, but you know, the thing is, and I'll be real quick here, you don't take it for granted, which is great. And I never have. I mean, my first, I don't know if you know this, when I drive, I mean, and when I don't feel the same way I do right now, like I always have, it's time for me to move on. And that's why I haven't left in 25 years. And I've had some crossroads, but I drive out and my first spot every day with my pickup truck to get to this office is number 10T. So I'm looking right down the lake every morning, whether it's frosty, snowy, whatever it is. I'm looking at I'm like, every time I'm like, wow, you know, it's like, it never gets old. So, and some people that have left, green chairs, and other people that have left to go somewhere else, they move away, they come back. And I've heard it more times than not. Boy, I took this place for granted when I was here. This place is spectacular. When they come back, they're just like, I can't believe it. I took this place it was too much of the same old hat, you know, it sounds like it's not the same old hat for you. It's not the same old hat for me. We love this. Everything's so great about it every day. And it's not just, this is work. Let's go do it. Your passion, you love this place. So.
Well, and the course has evolved. It was great when I joined, but our bunkers are better today. Our greens are better today.
Yeah.
We've evolved. And that's one of those things where a lot of clubs, I think, try so hard to be like other clubs. And I think RTJ has been really good about being who we are.
That's right.
Accentuate who we are. But in that evolution, change is natural. The game has changed. People are hitting it farther. Kyle Phillips has been a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about the transition from, you know, obviously Jones and Roger Rulrich, but I believe Kyle's been on since 2000. Tell us about Kyle. Tell us about his philosophy and what it's been like to work with him.
So Kyle's been on, so in 1995, so I've been here since 1994. In between President's Cups, they changed out 6. 6 was like, it looked like an elephant was buried, and Roger Rulrich did that one. After that, you know, it's documented in the books. Everyone can look at it, how Roger left. You know, everyone can make their decision on that, but or how he was told to leave. And then at that point, we brought the PGA Tour in. I don't know, you know, there's a couple guys that came in here and they were just looking at this and making some changes, and it just didn't feel right. To the board of directors, did not feel right. And I'm pretty sure Dave Thomas was on the board at that time. I could be getting that wrong.
What a great guy.
Oh, he's the best, right?
I love him.
I love him. He's
yeah.
driving around now. But, you know, so, you know, and they decided, the Jones family decided to put Kyle Phillips in play. So Kyle Phillips had just left Jones Jr. And so he was just starting out. And it's been a great marriage ever since. I mean, I love the man. He's coming, I think he's coming Saturday and Sunday, or coming sometime Friday. So it's, his mind is amazing, but the one thing he can't be unleashed here. As much as I'd love to unleash him completely, you can't. There's a name here. We're not changing the name anytime soon, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like we can change the name. So I think he's always done it within character. He's been a little edgy on some, you know, one green might be one of those, you know, he changed it. So it looks more like 18, which is his green, by the way, you know, than the 3 lobes, you know, in every green that we have here mostly, right? So he switched it up a little bit. More wider approach was not the case in anything here when it first was built. So I think everything Kyle has touched is great. Now, is it perfect? Nah, there's some tweaks here and there. You know, we've heard, you know, one might be too long, right? Maybe you shorten that a little bit. I think the whole world changes. Everyone stops complaining, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, by the way, you know, the guy that used to bang it, you know, is now 20 years older, probably should be moving up to 6,400. Is still playing 6,700. And you get to 64, you're going to love the golf course that much more. So, you know, it's been really neat to watch Kyle, what he's done, and you know, put the bunkers back into play, have them married to the greens and married to the fairways where they were detached before.
And putting some things more back in the earth too.
And the big thing and the number one thing, and that's the hardest thing for me to drive around since I've, you know, I see it now with him. There's, you know, people that have changed my life. He's one of them that's changed my life. That, you know, you build on the land or you build in the land. You know, when this was built, everyone was building on the land. Just push it up, dig it out right there. You know, back, you know, early when there was no bulldozers, you know, they're building it into the land, right? And there was shovels, right? You know, and a lot of people now have gone back to that, you know, and, you know, like even Doak will tell you in Core Crenshaw, they make it look like they haven't moved dirt. They might have moved more dirt than you know, any other site, but it looks like they've not moved any dirt when they're done with it. And that's what you think. You watch where, you know, different holes that Kyle's done when he's done the complete hole. You know, using one as an example, everything's built into it, not on top of it. You know, there's bunkers on, whether you like him or not. You know, it looks like a Kyle Phillips, and you go anywhere you go, and you play some Kyle Phillips golf courses, right? So
I played them all.
Oh,
and I met him at the Solheim Cup. And he was with his shaper, Scottish guy.
David Smith. Yeah, he's great.
Wonderful guy. I was with my
out here, did everything.
I was with my Aunt Tracy, and we ended up at the same table. Believe it or not, I ended up there, promise. Yeah. And I was, you know, I didn't want to soak up too much of his time, but he ended up being interested talking to me because I told him I played. I said I played Yas Links in Abu Dhabi. I've played Kingsbarns. I've played Cow Club, Menlo.
You hit the grand slam right there. Now all of a sudden he's all excited.
He didn't believe me that I had played everything that he had done.
Yeah.
And he said, "There's no way." And so he started saying, "Okay, Hillcrest Country Club, number 8. What do you think about the bunkering on that hole?" And I like had to think about it for a second. And I was like, "I don't remember any bunker." And he's like, "You're right. There's no bunkers." And we hit it off and have emailed back and forth, and I've sent him pictures from some of my travels.
Yeah.
And I just really liked him and enjoyed him, and I'll give him a plug here on the show. It's my show. I can do it. I think Kyle's respected by a lot of people that are in the golf architecture weeds, if you will. I know you hate the word weeds, but the people that really know their stuff, I think he's really in the level of Gil Hands and Tom Doak and the others. So I think he's brilliant, especially at courses that are a little lesser known, like Menlo Country Club in Silicon Valley. That's totally Kyle.
So you think about it, you got a lot of architects, and you know, you can name them all, you know, that are really good at restorations, right? Really good at restorations. And he's done a little bit of that here at Cow Club, which, you know, half that course is him. The other half is Mackenzie, right?
Yeah.
So so you could call it half and half, 50-50. It's the top 100 in the world. It's top 100 in Golf Digest, right? But the thing about Kyle is Kyle can go to nothing trees and he can figure it out. So he's that good. There's a lot out there that are great architects that can't do that. And yeah, we'll get into it, but I mean, he, like, you know, right now he's got one opening up at Apogee. He's supposed to be unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. But you know, you go Yas Links from dirt, nothing. Right? From nothing. All these clubs,
kind of like Shadow Creek, but in the
Kingsbarn, all
desert,
those, you know, they're nothing. There's no golf course there, and they're world renowned. Everyone knows him. So he's great.
Great guy. It's time for the Shotgun 9. So I don't know if you've
Shotgun 9.
Shotgun 9. It's 9 rapid fire.
How fast do I have to answer these?
You can take your time.
Okay. You ask him quick.
You know, if Matt was here, Matt's a stickler on time. He's a Republican. He's a tight ass. I'm a Democrat. I'm a little loose with time. I show up late. I go over.
Okay.
So he's not here.
So thank God. What's his name, Matt?
Matt Parker.
Hey, Matt, you don't need to come back anymore. We got this, all right?
Yeah. He gets worried about time and all this. I don't worry about it. We're on Democrat time today. That's fine. So you've named one of them, but my first question was name 2 people who've had the most influence on your golf career or your love of the game.
2. So I would say my grandfather, you know, taught me who I am. She said 2 or 3?
2.
2. So it'd be my grandfather, and then when it comes to my profession, it would be 100% Glenn Smickley.
And Glenn Smickley. Those of you who have not played the Cow Club, I am not a member of the Cow Club, but I love the Cow Club. Go play the Cow Club in South San Francisco. I think it's better than the courses rated above it in California. Wonderful course, great GM, Glenn Smickley.
It's actually the same. Pop-Up is what it is. My grandfather's Pop-Up. So
died
when he was 99. So yeah, and they knew the Biden family. So
wow,
yeah.
Oh, look at the little bipartisanship.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Golf ball distance rollback, good or bad?
I'm on we were talking about that a little bit before we started. I don't know. It's like I don't know what's right and what's wrong. Everyone loves to see the ball. I can't even see the ball anymore. I mean, I watched Bryson on number 10 today. It was happened to be over there. Then one said he's on the green. Oh, okay, I can't even see anymore. I'm only 54 years old. But everyone loves seeing the ball just go 320 yards, 350 yards. So I do think that it's taken a lot of these great clubs and they're obsolete. You can almost say Marion was, but then they actually had a very successful Open. But that was a test, right? That was what they were 7,000 maybe. What were they? 6,900.
6,900, and the winning score was +1.
Right. So maybe not. Maybe you got to trick it up. I don't know. So
okay. There have been trends in golf architecture and maintenance practices for decades. In the 90s, trees were popular and making courses hard. Now it seems to be about tree removal and making courses more fun and simple, or more, not simple, but natural. What is one trend in golf course architecture right now, or maintenance practices, that you wish would go away?
The severity of maintenance, I guess, is probably, I think every superintendent would say, like, can you get that mode? Can you do this? You always want, architects to have a free canvas to do whatever they want. But they can affect the budget. They can double a budget with what they do. Bunkers, I would say, the hardest thing I think for us to maintain is bunkers and make people happy is bunkers. I don't know how you fix it. I have no idea. The whole tree thing, I think trees are very important. I think it's gone too far for some of these. Oakmont, I get it. They were a field before, be a field, and by the way, members need to understand that trees do compete with grass and trees always win. So you can't have grass underneath the tree. As long as people understand that, we can have beautiful trees, right? Just can't have them right next to a green. We can't have them right on the fairway.
So there are other superintendents who come here or call you and ask for advice. They might run into a problem with their turf. Has there been a course that you visited, maybe Marion or somewhere like that, where you've been like, wow, like maybe we should try to do something like that, or you asked their superintendent and said, so how do you get your grass like that? Or,
it's a wonderful fraternity we're in. It's a small, and everyone knows everyone just about. And if you don't, you know someone that knows someone. I'll give you an example. Kerry qualified for the PJ Championship. He was the old pro here, and
Hazeltine.
No, it was actually wherever he did. No, he played at Oak Hill.
Oh,
so we went up to Oak Hill to watch him play. He was actually on the leaderboard. Walked up, he chipped on number 2, or it would have been 60 yards back. He chipped on in to be 1 under, and he was leading it for a quick hole or two. But Oak Hill, they had double wide walk pass. I go, wow, that's interesting. Instead of 2 people walking, now 4 people walk. So we widened ours. So you get ideas from different places, okay? They're all the same standards. Like, look, you could go to some golf course right now, like Riverbend did it, 10 years ago. You walk in the door, you're like, whoa, everything looks the same. Well, guess what? It was all sodded out, right? It's hard to stay clean. This is 30 years old. We got poanya in the rough. We got bent grass in the rough. But I think, the highest standards there are, and it's still not perfect, I said, is Augusta. I mean, I'm not saying that's not nothing against Augusta. There's always something small. I mean, it is as close to perfect as it can be, but it's always small. Whether you can find a weed in a bed here and there, you can find a little rock in a bed, right? That's impossible to actually be perfect all the time. But that place right there is the standard. That is what you look at. And I go every year because I love just the whole feel of it and what we need to be and what we're striving to be is Augusta Effect.
All right, 6th question of the Shotgun 9. Give me a couple of courses you've never played that you would most like to play.
Never played Pine Valley. Got invited to go with Ernie Ransom, our founding father here. And I have not played that. Would love to play Pine Valley. Love to play some of the ones, all the big ones on the island, Long Island, Cypress. So if we're talking about East Coast, West Coast, Cypress, is one I desperately wanting to play, in Pine Valley are the 2.
I might be able to help.
Oh,
I don't think you need
top 100.
I don't think you need any help, but I'm sure we'll make some of those happen. What are your 2 favorite courses that you have played besides RTJ?
So exclude Augusta.
Yeah.
Okay. Ballybunion.
Awesome.
And Marion were the 2 coolest. I mean, they're just different. It's hard to architecturally. Everyone, you get on Golf Club Atlas, they talk about Marion everything. It's like crazy. People fight about it. But those are the two coolest places I've played.
Ballybunion's one of my two favorite in the world.
Is that right?
It is. I had the captain of Ballybunion here
Yeah.
last year for my tournament, the MG Cup.
Yeah.
And he'll be back again this year. And I fell in love with Ballybunion. I was introduced via Ed McMahon.
Oh,
our
yeah,
past
yeah,
president.
yeah.
So
Yes.
I've been there several times. And Marion, the only thing I'll say about Marion and Riviera to me are the two best works of routing ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're such small pieces of property, and how they managed to get 18 awesome holes
Yes.
in that little footprint is artwork.
Yes.
I mean,
agreed.
it's
Agreed.
brilliant. All right, number 8. If you knew you only had one more round of golf to play, who would be in that group?
Just one person, or who would be in that group?
In that group, this isn't the dream foursome. This could be friends, family.
Okay, yeah. So I would say Gavin, my son, who loves to play golf. I mean, I wish all my other family members loved playing golf, because I would say family,
Yeah.
right? But it'd be Gavin, the hole-in-one on a par 4 down at Medalist.
And
no one's ever.
Didn't he drive a green at Augusta?
No, he didn't drive a green at Augusta, I don't think. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but he did. I think. Why am I'm forgetting whether it was 11 or 12? I think it's 12. 318 yards. No one's hold it from there and it's Tiger's home course. He plays there all the time.
Yeah.
Charlie plays there. All the pros play there, and no one's got a hole in one except for him in that club.
Wow.
So to fill out that foursome, it would. You want names?
Yeah.
Jesus, you want names?
It could be Carrie. It could be Rob Ellsworth. It could be
Carrie would be there.
Yeah.
It could be Carrie would be there.
Yeah.
It would be my son Carrie, and it'd probably be Glenn. Yeah, the first three here. Everyone called us the Three Amigos.
That might be the only group ever that I caddy in. I'd be the worst caddy ever. I get tired. I take breaks.
Have you
Sometimes
ever
I
played
forget.
with Carrie?
I have, yeah.
So the great thing about Carrie,
We played in the finals last year of the member.
Okay, so the great thing about Carrie, if you're playing with him,
Yeah.
he's always so positive. He's always, no matter what bad shot, hey, don't worry about it, we got it. And he's the most positive person I've ever played with. Glenn's always like, I don't care. He doesn't even read, doesn't do anything, just plays golf.
I've played
right?
with both of them.
Yeah. they're
Well, I learned something from Carrie 12 years ago. I forget when it was. We were playing, and he blew one out to the right. I mean, a mile right.
great.
He's damn near stymied behind a tree. He's dead. And I look over at him and give him a grin. And all he did was look up at me and say, it's going to be a really cool par, Rob. It's going to be a really cool par. The son of a bitch parred it.
That's what he does.
And I've taken that saying.
Yep.
And now anytime I'm in trouble, I look at people and say, it's going to be a cool par.
Yeah, I can say par. He always
Yeah,
says
yeah,
too. I
yeah.
can say par from here.
Yeah.
It's his mentality's that way. And he's so creative. He's amazing. So.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
Dream foursome. One pro golfer, one politician, one celebrity. Could be alive
It's
or
got to
dead.
be one. It's got to be one.
No, one of each.
One of each.
foursome.
One of each.
Yeah,
one
of
each.
each.
Okay. One
So
of each.
politician.
Politician. I'm between Bush and Trump. I have to say Trump, just because he's a great golfer, or a good golfer, whatever you want to. I guess everyone argues that, but Tony Kornheiser said it was the most interesting round he's ever had in his whole entire life. I like hearing that. Okay, I like that stuff. I like different. I like fun. As far as a pro golfer, I like cool guys. And I thought the coolest guy on tour, and I didn't get to watch him because I was, young, but you hear about it, you see all the pictures, is Arnold Palmer. Wish I would have grown up at that era to be able to watch him, right, to see him. And then this sounds all old school, but I thought one of the coolest guys in of all celebrities is Dean Martin. I mean, every Christmas, what I'm listening to? Dean Martin.
He's from my hometown.
That really?
I used to go every year to the Dean Martin Festival.
Did you really?
In Steubenville, Ohio.
It's great. I think those two were cool. And people would say maybe Trump isn't cool, or he is cool, depending on who you talk to. But I think that would be an interesting group and a fun group. I don't know if I want to play it every day, but for one time, I think I would love to play that.
I've been on the course the same time as President Trump, and President Bush actually played through my group one time. And he's so fast. He plays.
He is. I've heard that.
Yeah, his dad was like a speed golfer.
Were you down at Preston Trails?
It's Preston Trails. Yeah, down in
Dallas. Yeah, because that's where Bush
so
plays.
He's at Preston Trail in Dallas. I also played Brook Hollow that trip, which is great. By the way. But so he comes through, and I worked for him, but I didn't figure he'd remember me. I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, Mr. President, it's good to see you. And he said, I'm retired now. It's just George. And so I just looked at him and said, okay, Mr. President. Yeah, I'm not calling you
I
George.
wish he would have played
I'm
here.
not
He
calling
just
you
couldn't
George.
do it during his presidency. He was great. So
Well, that's a Shotgun 9. What a great afternoon. Thank you for taking time away from, I know you're busy. We've got the LIV Golf Tournament here at RTJ tomorrow. Really appreciate your time
No,
and your
this has been
insight.
great.
You're the absolute best. Thanks for
All right.
coming on.
You got it, buddy. See
All
you.
right, thanks you.
Bye.
Take care.